and welcome to round 2 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast. I'm Terri Morrow, and I'm here with Catherine Halecko. Say hi, Catherine.
Hi.
Usually on this podcast, we talk about parenting issues, but once a week, Catherine and I like to get together to discuss TV, movies, books, and other entertainment topics because it's nice to talk about something other than parenting for a change. This week, we are going to discuss the 7th episode of West Wing Season 4, Election Night, and the movie The Big Sick for our challenge round. But first, we're just catching up with The Good Place, and so this week we watched episodes 3, 4, and 5 of Season 1. And I'm starting to see what the problem of binging this on Netflix is going to be, is that they all just sort of blend together. Yeah. I know I watched 3 individual episodes, but it's hard for me to remember anything specific about any particular episode because they all sort of flow one into the next. Mm-hmm. So when I sat down, I was looking at the actual episode titles and descriptions. I was thinking, did I watch this in the wrong order? Because I would think that this title would go with this thing that I watched. But actually, then I read the descriptions. No, I watched them in the right order. So it was very enjoyable. It was a very, very enjoyable blob of entertainment that I just, glided smoothly from one into the next.
This is what happened to me when I read the Hunger Games trilogy. And I read all 3 books in the space of maybe a week or a week and a half. And I could not tell you hardly anything about what happened in which one, even though they're very, one is one Hunger Games and another one is the the All-Stars Hunger Games, and, there's specific things that do happen in each one, but boy, was I confused after that.
So I'm not sure how to talk about these exactly, except as a unit. The first one was called Tahani Al-Jamil, which seemed to me like it should be the title for the third one, because that's where we get Tahani's backstory of always being the less fabulous sister.
Right.
But I guess it was the one where Eleanor was trying to be friends with her because she thought that Tahani was the one who knew she was fake, but it turned out to be the wordless monk who is actually neither of those things, but a guy named Jason Mendoza, which is the title of the second, which was very fun.
Yes. Yes, and he is very funny. And his man cave that he has that's... supposed to be his meditation retreat. Yeah. It
was very funny. I liked that. And he's such a loser, really.
Right.
So probably just deciding never to say anything was a good call on his part.
I know, it was pretty darn
that was smart. The smartest thing he'd done.
Exactly. Although it may have been done for him when he found out that he was supposed to be a monk, right? That was his mistaken identity. So,
and the third episode was called Category 55 Emergency Doomsday, which actually the sinkhole opened up in the second episode, the Jason Mendoza episode. So I'm very confused, and but enjoying it very much. It's very funny and very clever. And, I'm liking the characters. I guess Eleanor is starting to get her act together in tiny bits. Or are we supposed to believe that the sinkhole is related to her actions? Because at the end, she sort of made a noble sacrifice, and then the sinkhole kind of closed up.
Right.
But, I don't know.
It's very hard to say.
Don't ask questions. Just let the entertainment flow over you. I'm down with that, man. But it is becoming clear that in some way none of these people is actually seems to be who they are meant to be. Apparently Tahani has gone on to be a great fundraiser, but she's got issues.
Right, because you get to see her points ranking. And she is all the way down at the bottom.
And bothered by it.
Very upsetting to her, yes. Very, very problematic.
Yes. And lots of flashbacks to her parents being disappointed in her.
Being horrible.
Really awful. They even misspell her name in the will.
Yes.
So, none of these folks are seeming perfect. So we know retroactively that that's true. But even watching it the first time, it would have been apparent. And the subplot with the fine-tuning of, is it Janet, the assistant?
Yeah, the assistant.
That was pretty funny. All the different ways. That's a very good performance.
Yeah, Darcy Carden, and she was very good. Yeah, and then the part where, because of the sinkhole, the neighbors had to come in, and like, well, I'm a FBI agent and I'm a marriage counselor. Like, oh no. Oh, so good.
But they pull it off.
Yes.
So apparently those people aren't so good at their job either.
I know, right? I really like that actor who is playing Chidi.
Yes, he's very good.
He's doing an awesome job at looking like flustered and frustrated and just trying hard.
Yeah, and these people are not who they seem to be front. He has this enormous book that is completely unreadable.
Right.
That was from these 3 episodes, right? Yes, it was.
I don't
remember which one it was. Somewhere in this blob of entertainment, there was a plot about him having a massive book that
no one can read.
No one could read. That he was still very attached to.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So it's been a lot of fun, and I am glad to be continuing to watch it.
I'm ready to just turn on the faucet and have the 3 episodes flow from one to the next over me.
Yeah.
Probably the good thing would be to stop and do something else in between the episodes and not just sit there and watch them all in a bunch. Yes. But Netflix makes it so darn easy.
I know, it really does.
You hardly realize one's going into the next.
I know. You don't. Even on the West Wing, it just, you know, if you don't jump in there, if you don't take drastic action, you'll be watching the next one.
You'll be sucked into the next episode and then forget where one left off. That's right. And rather as we're going to do now in the podcast, I guess. Are we moving on to West Wing?
Sure, we could.
Do you have anything else you wanted to say about those good places we saw?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Other than just everybody's wonderful in it. It's very funny.
Yeah, they really are.
And very good. And I can't wait to watch more.
Yeah.
So we watched another great West Wing episode, Election Night. And, obviously, it's the election.
Right.
It starts with a great prank against Josh, kind of payback for the prank against Toby in the Game On episode, where many people come up to him and report that they voted, and yet they voted in such a way that their vote will not be counted or be counted wrong. And just as he's about to have a breakdown over it, they reveal that they are a little acting troupe that is pranking him. So that was fun. Did you, at what point did you know that this was like a little bit too much? Did you catch on? Well, you said you never catch on to these.
I never do. No, and I didn't. I still didn't. Even after it's coming directly after the prank to Toby, like, I should really figure this stuff out, but no.
I don't remember if the first time I saw it, I realized it either. But this time I enjoyed watching it come.
Yeah.
And, so that was fun. And then we get into the situation where the dead guy in Orange County is actually doing disturbingly well, and Sam is starting to get worried.
Yes.
As well he should be. So.
Starting to panic.
And he confesses to Donna what he's done, and he's checking the election results and, trying to discourage Will, who is determined that he's going to make history by getting a dead guy elected.
Mm-hmm.
So, even to the point of changing the weather.
Yes.
I love that scene.
And threatening the person who is working in county government or whatever. Whose name do I put on the lawsuit?
Yes, that was, I enjoy him in this a lot. And I like that scene where he's begging it to rain and all of a sudden it does and he just looks so delighted. Even if, as they said on the West Wing Weekly podcast, Aaron Sorkin didn't think he had written it quite that way, I still find it very entertaining. And for some reason, Danica McKellar is now his sister.
Right.
Which I never understood why that change was made. It seemed to make no sense whatsoever with the previous episode where she was a discovery from a sitcom. But whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I almost wondered when she said, Big Brother to him, when she called him Big Brother, I almost wondered if that was just sort of a nickname, like Chief or Buddy or something.
Yeah.
So, but obviously, as they said in the podcast, no, that's. I think Joshua Molina actually said half brother or something.
Yeah, I think that's. I think there's more mention of it, but it's never. She doesn't have a huge part. The way that he does. So, all this introduction of him is very fun, I think. And poor Sam. It's going to be a long night for him.
What have I done?
Yeah, it cost him nothing, but oops.
It's going to cost him something.
Perfect
now.
storm. And let's see.
I enjoyed just the little moment where Josh and Toby are telling Sam, like, we're going to go back to the office. We're going to watch these returns. There's these close elections. It's going to be fun. And it's so cute that, like, yes, that is so much fun for them.
It really is.
And even without the whole thing of it being a very different sort of fun for Sam.
Yes.
It's just
not
cute
so much
that
fun
they're so excited about it.
It really is. It really is. And in the middle of all this, we have Toby and Andy getting their ultrasound. And, yes, and it sets up that whole thing. I love it at the beginning, that line that Toby has when they're talking about that the president has won. And he's like, no, you can't say that yet.
Right.
Do you want to tempt the wrath of the whatever from high atop the thing?
The thing. Yeah.
I use that. I like that.
It's good.
And he and Josh are both totally down with it. Makes Sam go outside, turn around 3 times and spit and curse.
Right.
That's very funny. And then
I'm
later
surprised
on,
they didn't follow him out there to make sure he did it right.
And then, of course, later on, after we've had the whole ultrasound stuff and he's looking at the thing and he's talking about the kids and Josh says, I'm afraid you're losing your edge or something like that. And then he sees balloons and starts yelling at the guy.
Right.
Toby is still there.
Balloon.
Yep, these things are important. Can't take a chance.
No, you cannot.
And there was a lot in this episode. There was Lily Tomlin and the memo, not letting Josh into meetings,
putting Josh in his place.
Those are very funny, and she has a very good point too. She's like moving in and taking charge and making some important changes given Bartlett's particular predicament, which is he's having a problem with right at the moment, but she doesn't know that. So that was all good.
Yeah, and then you had Charlie with Anthony.
Yes. Oh my gosh, there's so much in this episode.
And I did bust out laughing when Josh crashed right into Orlando, whatever Josh kept calling him, Skittles.
Yes. Yeah, he was very good and very funny, and just the sight of it, just a walking sight gag, really.
Yes,
and but endearing also. Just the way he's talking about things, he was just so sweet and so excited about voting, and made Anthony seem kind of nicer and more fun than we've seen him be just by being his buddy.
Right.
So, that was a fun subplot too. And this is one of these things where there's 2 episodes that the second episode, Process Stories, takes off from the end of this one. So a lot of this stuff continues into the next episode. So that might be why there's so much here, because they're setting stuff up. But I can't remember if all of them do, but certainly Sam's predicament does, and some of the other things. So It was, I really enjoyed watching it again. I'm really looking forward to watching the next one, and really kind of ticked off that the West Wing Weekly is going to take a week off. So we have to take a week off. I want to watch Process Stories.
Yeah.
I know some of the things that happen there. I want to see them. But,
right.
And also the introduction of Christian Slater as Jack Reese, an extremely accommodating officer who's coming to work
who finally agrees to Donna's plan of swapping her vote. She does have a point that her vote is worth more to them in Wisconsin.
It's an honor thing.
It is in D.C.
and yet.
And also, like, the thing where Josh, on the podcast, Josh kept insisting, she doesn't have anything to share. She doesn't have anything to offer.
Yes.
Like, she does. I mean, she can prove that she did it. Like,
that's right. That's so she's already done her part.
Anything in return from them, you know, she is really going on the honor system in terms of what she's asking for, whereas she can prove that she's already done it.
That's
for them.
true.
So
that's true. Yeah,
that part I didn't quite understand their sandwich analogy that they were trying to make on the podcast.
Yeah, I didn't quite either, but it was funny. Poor Donna, and
the fact that she thought she could talk someone into this plan in 20 minutes and be right back.
Not so much.
Oh. Thing.
So,
yeah, lots of. I mean, I laughed, I cried in this one for sure.
Yeah, it was very good, and very sweet moment at the end with the president and the first lady, where she's on to him that he's having some problem with his hand, and they have a nice little chat. But smart people who love you will have your back. It's very sweet. So there will be more of election night in Process Stories when we get to it in a couple of weeks. But also on the West Wing Weekly, they had that interview with Clark Gregg, who is not in this episode, but must have just been available now. And I enjoyed that a lot. That was a very fun interview.
Yeah, and I always like seeing him when he does turn up.
Agent Casper. First of people wanting to call him Agent.
Right.
So. But a lot of fun West Wing stuff, and a lot of fun backstory of him and Joshua Malina, and a little bit of Agent Coulson stuff too. So that was a very engaging interview, and I liked listening to that, even if it was oddly placed.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they usually are surprisingly good at pairing up the person with the episode, but you can see how sometimes it just doesn't work out that way.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested to hear that they have Joanna Gleason for the next one. I didn't realize that Process Stories was her last episode, but I guess so. Not necessarily. I mean, I think the character is still theoretically around. She just never pops by the White House again, I guess. But we'll see. I may be misremembering. But that will be something to look forward to in a couple weeks. But for right now, let's move on to our challenge round for this week, which was the movie The Big Sick, which we've actually talked about on this podcast before, or rather, you talked about on this podcast before.
I did, yes, because I did see it in the theater.
Yeah.
Back in September, I believe, but now it is streaming.
As of Friday, streaming on Amazon Prime Video for free. So
yes,
that's why we did it this week.
Not on Netflix, but it was on my cable on demand, and it was actually also on my flight.
Oh.
But so I was like, oh great, I can watch it on my flight. And I start watching it, and then the entire in-flight entertainment system crapped out.
Man.
And then when it came back, I could not find the movie again. It was like a whole different set of choices. It was very weird.
That's not fair.
Yeah. So I only got a little bit of it in on the plane, but then I was able to watch the rest from my cable for a couple dollars. It wasn't as expensive. Sometimes they're like $6. This was only $3.
Yeah.
So. But I think it is worth it because I think it is such a charming and fun movie.
It really is.
Like it. It's just such a well done. I mean, it's definitely not all funny. It's it's a romantic comedy, I guess, but it has a lot more substance than many romantic comedies. Yeah. But the parts that are funny are very funny.
They are. It was very funny, and the parts that it's very sweet romantically as well, and has a lot of stuff about family in it too, which makes it. The fact that it's based on a true story brings in a whole bunch of elements that would not necessarily be there if you just sat down to write a romantic comedy, which is good and bad, I think, in that it is sort of there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
It's not easy to classify, and it's one of these things. I remember so many writing classes where we were instructed that even if it happened that way, if it doesn't work for a story, you have to prune stuff. I felt like maybe it could have used a little more pruning. And, I will give what seems to be becoming my refrain of, there's a little longer it needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, 2 hours for a romantic comedy is pretty long.
Yes, it's not like I can point to something I didn't like that they should take out.
Yeah.
But there were times where I sort of felt like, can we move this along a little bit? What happens next? We did that already. It was very entertaining. It's very entertaining again. Possibly 1 or 2 fewer family dinners with the Pakistani
women
arranged romance of the week. But I mean, they were all good, and certainly all made their point. And so I don't know. It's difficult, which is why the people in charge of it creatively need to be the ones making those decisions. But but it was very enjoyable. I liked it, and there were times I wish the pace picked up a little bit just because I wanted to know what happened next. So that's not a bad thing against them. The performances were all very charming. And my ears were burning a little bit at the amount of cursing that went on. Yes. Mostly, entertainingly enough, from her parents, played by Holly Hunter and Ray Romano.
Yes.
Those folks got a mouth on them, man.
Yes. When Holly Hunter decides to take on the heckler bro at the comedy club, and he's like twice her size, and she's just like having none of it.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
So that was it was I enjoyed it. It was very entertaining, and I haven't noticed this every time I've watched something on Amazon, but there's a thing where if you kind of move your cursor over to the side, you get a list of who's on screen at the moment, the name of the actor and the name of the character. And this one also had trivia bits. So every now and then there'd be a little trivia. But I didn't want to keep going over there because I wanted to focus on the movie. Yeah. So I probably missed some, but it was kind of fun,
Like what kind of stuff?
I should have remembered some. I know that the one I remember, because it was at the end, was when at the very end, they had pictures of him with his actual wife. Yeah. And they mentioned that Leslie Mann, when she saw a cut of the film, suggested that they do that. She is an actress and also the wife of Judd Apatow.
She's married to Judd Apatow.
Yeah, so that was interesting. And there was something about the music. And anytime there's a song in the movie, if you moved your cursor over there, it would tell you what the song was. So that's kind of a cool thing that Amazon does, and also kind of distracting, but it was from when you're watching, you go, oh, who's that at? That person looks familiar. Oh yeah. Or have I ever seen that actor before? No, I actually haven't. Right. But so that was a little bonus for watching it on Amazon streaming video.
Right. Yeah. It's nicely done. The part where he has that sort of falling out with his parents, but his mom still wants to bring him some biryani to take on the road. Yes. She won't look at you, but she made you this biryani.
Yes. That was amusing. And when he goes back into his house and insists that he is not going to be kicked out of the family.
Right. And yes. He's brought some helpful cue cards and documents.
Yes. Yeah, that was all the stuff with the family was real fun and really interesting because it's not something you see all the time.
Right.
And sort of a different dynamic. But, yeah, I'm glad I watched it. It was really enjoyable. And have you ever seen him in other things? I know he's been around for a while, but I've never seen him before that I know of.
No,
I've heard his name.
I think I've heard him on some podcasts. Like he's been on Pop Culture Happy Hour before.
I might have heard him there
on one of his live
yeah.
shows. And I think he was also on the Sporkful, which I listen to from time to time, which is a food-related podcast from the NPR stable. I mean, it's not actually on NPR anymore, but I think it started there. So.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I heard him on there, and he was quite entertaining.
Yes, so, and Zoe Kazan is very adorable. She was
and she has a hard job to do in this movie.
Yes.
I mean, she's got to be, like, cute when they're meeting, and I think that the final fight that they have before she gets sick is so good. Like, it's just so realistic, and it's really well done. And then she has to play, a really sick person, and a recovering person, an unconscious person. There's a lot going on.
One of the reviews I read was saying that she has to make enough of an impression in the beginning that you will care about her while she's absent for like the middle third of the movie.
A large part of the movie,
yeah. But, yes, it was fun. And I liked Holly Hunter and Ray Romano. I thought they were very entertaining in their particular way as her parents. And their relationship with him. Even though right at the beginning, she doesn't want anything to do with him.
She really is like, get out.
But then they just sort of change their mind. So that was fun. Thank you for challenging me to watch it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, good. I liked it. Thought you would if we got the chance, and we did.
Yes, if I have to force myself to watch movies, so it's good. That's... Otherwise, I never watch anything. So that was fun to be able to watch something that people are watching, somewhat contemporary.
Yeah, pretty recent.
But, well,
like award season, current award season material. It could happen.
Right. I wonder. Yeah, it could happen. That would be interesting. I've actually seen a movie from this year.
See,
could happen again.
Way to go.
Was Beauty and the Beast from last award season?
No, I think it came out in like March, so I think that might be.
I've seen 2. Quick, Catherine, go see more things and then make me see them.
Challenge you.
Well, this is the time of year when all the ones that are going to be in award contention come out, so.
I know.
You've got some work to do. We don't have that many more weeks.
Coco. It's the Pixar one.
Oh.
That's the one that
I did see Moana.
It had the best Thanksgiving weekend.
Yes, I saw that. You have still not seen Moana, have you?
I have not. I got to see it before I go to Hawaii.
Yes. When are you going?
Christmas time.
Oh, well then.
I know. I
wish I could rethink my challenge for next week, but I'm not going to because I already downloaded them.
Well, do you want to swing into telling us what that is?
Yes. My challenge for next week, we, in a recent conversation, realized that you had never seen any episodes of 2 shows that kind of rocked my TV world, Hill Street Blues and St. Elsewhere. So we're going to start your education of that period of time in TV with a couple of episodes of Hill Street Blues. I had originally thought to do the pilot of it, which is called Hill Street Station. And then I was trying to think of other episodes, and I wrote to Alan Sepinwall for his Ask Alan thing that he does. And he very nicely wrote me back to say nobody else is really interested in this topic, so I'll just email you directly, which was very nice. And suggested Season 3, Episode 1, Trial by Fury, which is excellent, though not a whole lot of fun. But So we are going to watch those 2 episodes and see what you think. I watched a little bit of the first one and I got sucked right back into it. It's, I think, very good and certainly groundbreaking. I also wanted to give a heads up, speaking of Alan Sepinwall, I'm going to have you read his book, The Revolution Was Televised, for some future challenge. I was going to do it for December 19th, but you know what? We probably should do Moana there if you got to watch it before you go to Hawaii.
True.
So we will push it off till possibly after Christmas, so we will all have tons of time to read. Okay. But if you, like me, need to know way in advance when you're going to have a book read, listeners, pick that up. It's a good book. We'll have a link for it on our show notes. So for next week, in addition to those 2 Hill Street Blues episodes, we are going to watch The Good Place episodes 6, 7, and 8. 6, 7, 8, because we'll watch them all in one big lump, and they'll wash over us again. We will not be able to tell them apart. Or maybe we will. Who knows?
Maybe we'll, take notes or something crazy.
That could happen, though probably not. The titles of those episodes are What We Owe to Each Other, The Eternal Shriek, and Most Improved Player. However, we will not have a West Wing next week because the West Wing Weekly, unlike us, takes time off for holidays and things like that. So, boo, we will have to wait. But you might want to, while election night is fresh in your mind, watch Process Stories, take notes, and then watch it again right before our episode. So it will be fresh in your mind again. So because it really is sort of a 2-parter with election night. Anyway, that will be our round 2 for today. Please subscribe to our Parenting Roundabout podcast so you won't miss any of our episodes, including our daily speed rounds and weekly group chats. As always, you can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. Goodbye, Catherine.
Bye, Terry.
Goodbye, everybody.